So hello and welcome to the channel, welcome to another video. In today's video I wanted to look at a recent VR experience I've had up in Scotland, just outside Glasgow in a place called East Kilbride. Lucky for me I travel up to Aberdeen quite often, so travelling past Glasgow wasn't particularly out of the way for me. So visiting this venue was literally en route to where I was already travelling to. So the venue itself is actually called GP Racing Simulators, and they refer to themselves on the website as GP Sims, but the equipment there is absolutely fantastic. The venue itself is really modern, vibrant. It's almost like a pub within a sim racing venue. It looks like it could be more than just a sim racing venue, whether it's a place you're going to go on a weekend, have a few drinks, have a bit of a laugh and do some proper serious sim racing, or you could be a serious sim racer just looking to enjoy the experience and then have a beer afterwards. So I was actually blown away with the equipment that they're using. It's all proper high-end equipment, not particularly the kind of stuff that you would expect to see in these sort of venues. You're normally looking at the Thrustmasters, Fanatec stuff, but when you come across Simucube and fully haptic actuators within a sim racing rig, and the headsets, I think they're using the Varjo Aero headsets, which are absolutely fantastic. They're a couple of years old now, but they still offer some amazing specs with foveated rendering and auto IPD adjustment, but we'll cover that in a minute. GP Sims offers a racing experience like nothing else that I've come across before. It's almost like being in a car without being in a car. I spent nearly 2 hours at the venue, running two 20-minute sessions and then two 25-minute sessions, just jumping from different car to different car, different circuit to different circuit. But absolutely blown away with the equipment that was there and the experience itself, and couldn't recommend it more highly. But we'll cover what I did during the session a little bit later. I think I ran a session at Spa, another one at the Red Bull Ring, and finally at Monaco, which was just unbelievable. So GP Sims it's just a really special venue, I think, that it offers such an experience as close to you could get for real world driving, but in a kind of relaxed atmosphere as well. And whether you're a hardened sim racer or just a casual motorsports fan, there's definitely something for you. Even if you're disabled, they've got a very special rig that you can operate just using your hands. So if you're disabled from the waist down, you can still use these simulators, which is a fantastic opportunity, I think, for those that are less able to enjoy sim racing at its best. This is a venue that's still looking out for people like that, which amazed me really. So unlike most of our sim rigs, obviously we're all limited by budget, but this kind of feels like the environment or the system where budget has been just thrown out of the window. And if I was thinking of like giving a figure for how much these things cost, I would definitely say close to around £20,000 per rig. So you've got 10 rigs, maybe one a little bit more different to the others with the triple screen monitors, but I would say around £20,000 worth of equipment on each sim rig, which is phenomenal really. So the displays feature aspheric lenses with dual mini LED LCD panels with a resolution of 2880 by 2720 per eye, delivering a peak fidelity of around 35 pixels per degree, or PPD. This setup ensures an incredibly sharp image, effectively eliminating the screen door effect. And the screen door effect, a lot of people say this is almost like the dots that you used to get, or a grid sort of representation of like the display that surrounds you. And it's almost like you could see these dots, whereas the resolution is starting to get much higher now, that these dots are sort of aren't visible anymore, which just, it's mind-blowing. And if you look at the new Pimax Super that's coming out, if this was the headset that I was using was 35 ppd, the headset I'm looking at receiving is 57 ppd, which is, it's almost double the clarity. But yeah, it uses also what's called foveated rendering. So wherever you're looking on the screen, that's where it's most crisp, and it kind of saves screens per second really, or the labor intensive work on the whole image, and it just focuses on the area that you're driving in, so that it can be perfectly crystal clear in that area while saving some of the processing power to produce more images. It just creates that area of the screen that's perfect clarity. It's a really clever software, and it's got internal eye tracking on the Varjo Aero headset, which tracks your eye at around 200 hertz per second. So if you imagine your monitor's going at around 90 hertz or 90 frames per second, the eye tracking is tracking your eye at 200 frames per second almost. The Aero headset offers 115 degrees vertical vision. So I didn't really particularly notice the edges of the screen, but again, the Pimax Super's looking at around 124, so a little bit wider sweet spot. But I used the headset for about 2 hours. Obviously had a little bit of a break in between. Started to feel a little bit warmer towards the end of the session, but I was doing a number of laps at Monaco, which was it was more intense than I'd ever imagined it to be. Just even driving up the hill, and just the amount that the car bounced around, and that feeling of pure grip as you kind of go through the tunnel as well. I can't even imagine drivers doing this for 80 odd laps at Monaco. 15 laps in this simulator felt hard going. So the Aero headset was priced around £1,500 when it initially came out, but took a massive drop in price to around 50% a couple of years down the line. But if you actually manage to find one of these headsets, you're doing well, because they are quite rare these days. But you could look to pick one up for around £700 to £800. So moving on to the wheelbase then, we had I believe it was the Pro Simucube 2. They do offer two different models, the Sport and the Pro. I think the Sport boasts around 17 Newton meters of torque through the wheel, and the Pro version offers around 25. But I think it was definitely the Pro version that we were using, and I think you can pick these up for around £800 for the Sport version, or just over £1,000 for the Pro version. Obviously you're getting that more robust build quality and more Newton meters per torque through the wheel itself. But I'm sure there's plenty of other channels that have done reviews for these wheelbases, and the Simucube really didn't disappoint. If anything, I wanted to turn it down a little bit. I mean, I run my version 2.5 Club Sport wheelbase probably about 50%, so you're probably looking around between 4 and 6 Newton meters of torque. I don't particularly know how much torque they were running. I don't believe it would be maxed out. That would be crazy to run it absolutely maxed out. But I'd certainly prefer a little bit less weight through the wheel, and that feeling of detail comes through more, I think, with a less weight in the wheel. So coupled with the Simucube base then, they had the Ascher, and I'm just going to read this off here. It was the Ascher B24 SC button plate. I'll put an image on the screen at the moment so you can have a look at that button display. The surrounding, I mean, I also have the universal hub with the Fanatec wheel, but this is another universal hub, I guess, that Ascher Racing do. And it's got a beautiful feeling through the wheel. The mechanical gear shifters, a really nice solid click as you used it. But that did feel really nice, along with an OMP leather steering wheel. I think I would have much preferred to use the GT3 style rim. I think I'm so used to using that now, using the McLaren GT3 rim. It just feels much better in the hands. And obviously when you're looking at that through the headset, and it's really hard to explain how immersive the VR experience really is. I'm definitely not looking at doing anything other than the VR now. Just that feeling of being in the car and you're kind of looking around and you can see, I mean, it's not your real hands that are moving around, but looking at the suit and the stitching, and everything as you sat in the car and you're kind of looking around the wheel itself and just out the windows. And even when you're in like an open wheeled monocoque chassis and you're kind of sticking your head outside the chassis to look in the wing mirrors and you can see your head poking out, that feeling of immersion is just, it was unbelievable to me. And I don't think there's going to be anything that gets you so immersed, is actually that feeling of being in it. And I know people have done footage, and I couldn't get any footage on the day, and they wouldn't allow me to capture footage, but hopefully in another visit I'll probably put the same sort of camera and tripod alongside so you can see some of what I'm doing. And I know VR's not new anymore and there's so much footage out there, but watching it on a YouTube video really doesn't convey just how immersive it really is. And I've seen a lot of drivers using it on the esports F1 recently, when you can see their sort of cockpit cams looking at them using the headsets, and it really is phenomenal. So moving on to the pedals then, and obviously pedals can make or literally break a setup. Using a good set of pedals, I mean, I've got the inverted Fanatec V3s, which I've used since 2017 now, but I had the experience at the venue of using the Heusinkveld, I'm sure I'm saying that properly, Heusinkveld Sprints, a set of pedals that's synonymous for the amount of flexibility and adjustment that you can get from these pedals. And I mean, they only went with the 2-pedal version, which you can buy separately. You don't need to buy 3 pedals all at once. Just the brake pedal and accelerator pedal. And personally, I mean, I've got the 3 pedals, but I haven't used 3 pedals for probably the last 3 years. I just tend to use the brake and accelerator and the clutch pedal. I think back in Project Cars 2, I actually used the brake pedal as the pit in button just to save buttons on my wheel. But it's very rare that I'll use the clutch pedal. But you can pick up the Sprint version. I think they were using the Sprint Black versions of the pedals for about £460. Demon Tweaks seem to do quite a good offer on there, and I'm sure if you look around some of these other channels they can offer some kind of discount codes as well. But I was really impressed with the pedals, really nice feel through the pedal. I kind of hoped that they could lift the pedal plate that it was on. Because I use inverted pedals, I never feel like I'm pushing over the pedal. It's like through the pedal, or when you've got your foot down. I kind of felt like I was arching my foot over to press the accelerator down. Maybe just tilting the pedals would have sort of negated that feeling that I was getting. But hopefully next time I visit I can make those adjustments and see if that feels a little bit better. But I was really impressed with the Sprints. So moving on to the base itself then, and I think it was a Trak Racer base. It was really nice sort of black aluminium profiling, which is kind of synonymous with Trak. Although there wasn't any labelling, I'm going to assume it was a Trak base. But I think they were also using what's called a D-box system for the actuators and the motion rig, which comes in, I'm sure it's around £7,000 for this setup. So you've got 4 actuators, one on either corner of the platform itself, and the feeling of accelerating as the car kind of sits back, and the really heavy sort of braking zones, everything just moved around so nicely. But yeah, really impressed with motion rig. I've never been in one that felt so immersive. Just that little touch of accelerator and there was a little feeling of acceleration, and kind of as you go down through Eau Rouge and coming up, that sort of weighting of the car, the depression and everything as you come up and over the rise. And I think the most brutal for me was driving I think it was a V12 around Monaco, and just how much the car really does bounce around up the hill. It was kind of breathtaking and brutal really to be thrown around so much. That feeling of just being in the cockpit at Monaco and kind of just looking around in awe at the setting itself. But going through the tunnel, it almost felt like you could lose the rear of the car very easily, and then coming down into the pool complex, just the quick nimble steering through there and just trying to avoid the barriers. I've never felt anything like it, and for 15 laps I definitely was getting a bit of a sweat on towards the end of the session. But yeah, really enjoyed using the motion rig. Not that I'd probably run that in my house, it does move around quite a lot. You probably want a concrete floor to set it on if you're going to use that kind of system at home. So in conclusion then, about the centre itself, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. A meticulous selection and integration of these high-end components at GP Sims really did culminate into the sim racing experience that closely mirrors real-world driving for me. For enthusiasts and professionals alike, the opportunity to engage with such sophisticated equipment offers unparalleled immersion and realism. And whether you're aiming to improve your racing skills or just seeking an authentic driving experience, sim racing at GP Sims just provides those tools to meet those expectations and aspirations in my eyes. And I really can commend the guys and ladies that work there for really delivering a fantastic experience. So my experience, I literally just went online, had a little look at what they had to offer, and just used the online booking system. And within a day or two, I got a phone call from Ben, the manager, to explain what I was going to experience, what I kind of wanted to get out from the day itself, because I just wanted to run a session on my own. You could go as friends, you can race against each other, but I just wanted to run a test session myself. And I think he was just interested to see what kind of experience I got, what my reason for coming was. I did obviously mention I wanted to possibly record some footage, which probably piqued his interest a little bit. But yeah, just explaining how I've been sim racing in my own home for a number of years and just wanting to try VR for the first time really, or the second time on this occasion. So yeah, after speaking with Ben about what I wanted to achieve on the day, yeah, he just booked me in, decided what time I was going to run the session. Obviously on my drive up, just made a small diversion into East Kilbride. Arriving there, unfortunately Ben wasn't there that day, but Neve was working on the reception desk and booked me in for my session, and then she passed me on to Ewan, which he just went through literally everything that I was going to use, how the system works, how the IPD adjustment works. And the IPD is the measurement between both of your pupils. And when you put the headset on, it runs through an auto calibration so that the lenses move in perfect alignment with your pupils, so you get perfect vision. Obviously, if you wear glasses, I think there's enough space within there to wear the glasses as well. But yeah, auto eye adjustment is definitely something that I was looking for when I'm looking at purchasing my own headset. So after a short chat with Ewan about what I wanted to do, we decided to go with the Porsche, I think it's a 2016 model of the Porsche GT3 at Spa. I think I'd run a little session. I will put a little bit of footage on screen that I've taken from the Xbox version of the game, but they run Assetto Corsa's commercial version of the game, which they can use in a commercial setting. I know they've got a lot of patches and the custom shaders, a lot of the patches that you can get through different programmers creating things. I know there's a lot of shaders you can use on Assetto Corsa in the PC version of the game, and they are running a lot of these. There's all the new cars, new tracks, so I'll certainly be interested in trying out more when I'm there. But during the session I ran at Spa in the Mercedes, and then I think we went to the Red Bull Ring to run in the Ferrari 296. That was a real blast, flying through turn one, up to the heavy braking section and the tight right-hander as you nip sort of up. I really did enjoy running sessions at the Red Bull, but to finally jump in I think it was a 1990 V12 at Monaco was just a fantastic experience. Just a really brutal experience of what the guys in Formula One might have experienced at the time. So yeah, I'd like to just thank everyone at GP Sims for the experience on the day, and I'll definitely look to come in the future. But for the channel itself, hopefully we'll be looking to move to PC later in the year, as and when I get my hands on an RTX 5090, which seems to be impossible these days, getting hold of GPUs at a good price. I don't think it's going to be an option at the minute. because there's so much demand and there's so few out there. I could get hold of an air-fed one, but I'm definitely looking at getting an AIO version of the GPU just to get it running really nice and cool. Hopefully we'll have the build later in the year on the channel, and hopefully I'll be delivering a lot more VR content later this year. But yeah, thanks for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've found something useful. I hope you take the chance to go and visit the venue itself. I'll put all the links in the description for booking online and everything, and hopefully I'll speak to you again in the future. I look forward this weekend to going to see a bit of GT3 down at Donington, where I might feature some of that footage in the next video. But thanks for watching. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.